Hello, hello.
Hello.
Okay, people are joining. Guys, we have Rohan currently on the estate, and the weather there has just gone pretty cloudy. So we are facing a little network issues. We're trying to bring Rohan back online. Just give us a moment, please. Hello, everybody. Hello, hello. Thank you for joining. As I said, Rohan is currently on the estate, and we are facing a little bit of a network trouble at his end, but we are trying to bring him up online. Give us just a few moments. Uh, okay, we have Rohan back here. Rohan, can you hear us?
Hi, everyone. Sorry. So, yes, I'm having very bad network.
We have people joining and
Can
dropping.
you all hear me?
We can hear you, yes. Okay, let's give everybody just
Okay,
another
perfect.
2, 3 minutes to join.
Sorry. Yeah,
Also,
yeah. I think I
everybody,
should
we're facing a
apologize
little.
upfront if I'm having very bad.
There's going to be a little lag. We're having trouble with the network, so Rohan says something. It'll be a minute before we hear it. Please bear with us.
As long as it's a few seconds, it's fine.
Uh, it's a little more than few seconds, but I think we can pull this through.
Okay.
We have a smart audience. I think people will understand. If you're joining in, send us a wave. We'll wave back. Thank you for joining, and thank you for taking time out on a Sunday morning for us. Hi
Absolutely.
Kabir, hi Prajwal.
I see a lot of
Yes, Rohan.
familiar faces.
Is that a peacock that we hear?
Yeah, that is somewhere right behind me.
Nice. All I have is a city view to offer. I'm right next to a major highway.
Not can't compare to what I have behind me.
Not even trying.
Hey, Prajwal, how's it going? Prajwal sent me a reminder saying he's waiting for the live to start. So,
We can count on Prajwal to remind us to do our jobs.
hey, Ranjit, how are you doing?
I'm just waiting for a very important person to join who is not, I don't see his name yet. Maybe he's not woken up.
Yeah, when he joins, he's gonna have hell.
I hope he does.
Oh, is he on already? I see Vivek on.
Lovely. Vivek is on. We can start now. That's all we were waiting for.
Perfect. Perfect.
Okay, everybody. Good morning. Hope you have woken up. If not, and you're having breakfast, thank you for having us for company. We don't mind getting the food as well. At least I definitely don't. Rohan can speak for himself. Uh, Today we'll talk about the future of coffee and are we looking at a possibility where the world could be without coffee? I'm Bhavi. I go by Banjaran Foodie on Instagram and I have my website. I am a food and travel writer among other things. And with me I have Rohan joining from Balanu Plantation.
Hi, everyone. For those who don't know me, I'm Rohan from Balnoor. We also have MS Estate, which we look after, which supplies some very good Arabicas to the specialty cafes here. And yeah, I hope I'm audible right through the session. And let's get this going.
It's improved. Actually, audibility has improved considerably. You're also less pixelated now.
Perfect.
So just stay where you are. Don't move.
I don't promise that.
We'll take that. Hi Ankit. Hi Shreya. Hi everybody. Thank you for joining in, and we'll be talking about a future possibility of a world without coffee. So Rohan, tell us, could there really be a world without coffee? Will I have to go to office being extremely cranky and people are already scared? Could they be more scared of me?
Oh, well, that's a excellent topic that you have chosen, Bhavi. Looking at the way the last couple of years have been, it's looking more and more towards the possibility of a yes. There could be times when we may not have coffee. And that's what happened last year. And even this year, when you look at the Indian market, the overall crops dropped so drastically. It was almost like as if there was no coffee on the estate to offer. But that being said, I don't think as planters and growers, we are going to allow a world without coffee. We will strive to do our best to keep on churning out some coffee to all the coffee lovers and the coffee addicts. But it will require a lot of hard work. Weather has not been very favorable to us, as everyone knows. Apparently, I'm in June and I'm still waiting for the monsoons to come. So it's going to be very, very challenging. And we are seeing a drastic change from India having a lot of Arabica now to being India having a lot of Robusta. So that is a very, very scary thought. And it's happening globally.
Okay. I have a very important question to ask before we can move further. I have somebody who asked me why 10 a.m. on a Sunday morning. I thought we'll just get that out before we talk more serious stuff.
We thought 10 a.m. because on a Sunday, what better to do? We start you off with bad news about coffee, don't give you your coffee, and ruin your day. Vivek, good morning.
Good morning, Vivek. We are so glad that you allowed us to join us for your breakfast. We've heard you have lovely breakfast. We really wanted to join. So 10 a.m. was specifically chosen.
Yeah, I think 10 a.m. is primarily because Bhavi is busy later on. I go back to the field after this. So it's a working Sunday for quite a few of us.
Work never stops. Why should it stop?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so back to the serious note where we were scaring people that there'll be no coffee someday after they wake up or before they go to sleep, depends when you like to have coffee.
Yeah, no, I mean, if you've been reading a lot of the coffee journals and the news that's been happening lately, with the change of weather pattern, Brazil, Vietnam are all moving towards other crops rather than coffee, which is not a good sign because Brazil and Vietnam are the primary producers of coffee. The good thing is if they don't produce enough coffee, we as Indians stand to gain from it in some sense or the other. But overall, when you look at the coffee scenario, the coffee commodity sector, not good news. So let's hope and pray that action gets taken during the environmental forums. There is some change that will take place at the farm levels so that we continue to be sustainable and continue to produce.
Lovely. Could you also tell, so we have people who might not know what's happening in Brazil and Vietnam. Maybe you could just quickly tell us what happened.
So basically, with regards to Brazil, as everyone knows, is one of the highest producers of coffee in the world. They have thousands and thousands of acres of open cultivation where they just harvest coffee using big machines that run over the coffee plants, and it's done in a matter of a few months. So they of late have been facing tremendous weather issues. It's drought followed by frost, followed by heavy rains, which is hurting them in a sense that the overall productivity is coming down. And for a farmer, when you lose crop for even a year, you don't have money to run the following year, because what you harvest is the money that you're putting back in for cultivational practices and operations, and then for harvesting the following crop. Vietnam has started moving towards other crops of rubber and pepper on a larger planting, where it is no longer economical to, or no longer feasible to plant coffee in those areas. So when you take these two big producing countries out, it's going to have a challenge. It'll have a ramification on pricing of coffee. It'll have a ramification on the availability of coffee and on good quality coffee. So that is where Vietnam and Brazil stand at the moment. But it's very contradictory information that we all get. So just before Brazil is going to harvest, they say Brazil is going to harvest a very poor crop so that the prices go up. And then when they harvest, they get a bumper crop. So nobody knows the truth, but based on all the journals that we read and all the papers that we get, they are having issues with regards to weather.
Okay. So how did we end up here? You said about Brazil, Vietnam, the weather.
Did I lose you?
For a few seconds, yes, but you're back now. Rohan, am I audible to you?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Am I audible to you now? Because I can hear, we can hear you. We can also hear the birds in your background. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Now I can.
Okay, perfect. And Vivek has been very kind to inform us that he can hear both of us. So we're good. He's going to hate us after this. Sorry, Vivek, sorry. We just like you too much. And okay, so the question is, how did we end up here?
We ended up here clearly not by our choice, it's by our actions. The overall pattern of weather has severely taken a hit. I remember when we were small, my dad would tell us, oh, it's February, we're going to start getting rain. It was like clockwork. You knew when the rains were coming, and when it rained all over Chikmagalur. It was heaven. Now, it rains on one side of the hill, and you can actually see the other side of the hill under the sunshine. It is absolutely weird weather. How we got here is man's doing, I would say. We've not been careful enough to look after our environment. Things are changing every day. And that's how we ended up here. But one thing I can tell you, as responsible farmers here in India, We are all taking tiny steps towards being environmentally sustainable and environmentally protective. When you come to a coffee estate anywhere, you will see it's completely under shade, which is not seen in most coffee growing areas. I think that is something in itself. When you look at rainwater harvesting, most of us have tanks and dams and trenches and ravines that collect water. So that is helping us retain the water where we are, replenishing the water table, able to sustain on our own without the hope that, okay, if the rains fail, what am I going to do? Majority of us will be able to irrigate. So, that's a tough question, Bobby. How did we get here? We got here because of just man's fault. And now it's up to us to make sure that we rectify that and not ruin the future for our children.
Yeah, imagine our kids not getting coffee. I don't want to see anybody.
Oh.
Don't come close, please.
I can't function
Okay.
without my coffee. I know a lot of people who
Me
are
neither.
older can't function without coffee.
That's what coffee is for, so that the world becomes bearable.
Absolutely. And some people
So,
would argue that alcohol does.
oh yeah, before 5 p.m. it's coffee, after 5 p.m. it's alcohol. We're decent people, come on.
Reasonable.
Okay. Pretty simple. Let's not complicate. But then here's one thing I'd like to add, that the next time when some of us wake up in the morning and we see that the weather has become cloudy and maybe it's raining when it is not supposed to rain, unseasonal rainfall, say in the middle of summer or in winter, and we are very happy that the weather is really beautiful, it's pretty romantic, let's have a cup of coffee in the balcony. Go talk to a coffee plantation owner who's getting sleepless nights over that beautiful morning that you just woke up to, and you'll see how different things can be from your balcony to the farm. Rohan, are you still with us? Rohan, can you hear us? Okay, people, I'm really
Okay,
sorry.
I think I've lost you all again.
I can hear you again. Are you back?
Yeah, I think it's come back.
Okay, yes. Where did we lose you?
Can you hear me? Or could you
We can hear you and the peacock, yes. Vivek, can you hear us?
I lost you at the part where you were saying next time it rains. So it's all right.
Yeah.
I'm sure you were talking to the.
Yeah, I was talking to everybody and I think they got that. So the next time you have unseasonal rainfall, please go talk to
I
Rohan.
think let's progress.
Yes. So next is there a way we can change this? Is there a diversion that I can take, or maybe a U-turn I can make, or just switch to a different road? And there seems to be a network issue again. Rohan, can you hear us?
I'm sorry, I've lost you completely.
I totally feel like being in the newsroom who's asking the correspondent, can you hear us? Okay, Rohan, why don't you keep talking so that when you become audible, we know.
No, now everything is fine. Now everything is fine.
Perfect. So my next question is there a diversion I can take, or maybe I can switch to a different road, or maybe I can take a U-turn and go back and realize where we messed up and change things? What's the damage control, basically?
Well, that's the damage control right now is for us to be very, very responsible about what we do and our actions on a day to day. The littlest things, the water we use for a bath, the vehicles we use for transportation, uh, the tiny steps that we take. If even if one person makes a change to start, it's a change that's beginning. Uh, there are a lot of people who've been talking about it, and they talk about the carbon footprint. And I don't know if I've lost you again,
No, we can hear you.
but the it's just making these small steps.
Okay.
Okay, awesome. So yes, I know it's easy for everyone to preach about change and what you should do. Wow. But I think all of us need to be responsible uh, to ensure that we are able to take things forward.
Take
This
things forward
network is
sustainably.
not helping. So I don't know what I'm saying and to who I'm saying it, or if I'm talking to myself.
You're talking full sense, and we're all able to understand. Don't worry. And we have a very smart audience who keeps telling us that they can hear us and they're liking the session. You're liking the session, everybody, right? Come on, tell us in the comments.
Perfect. And yeah, Vivek, I saw your comment. It is very, very overcast. And Mayur, being my neighbor, yes, I hope it rains. It's been a few days. A little rain, a little sunshine will always be good for us.
Perfect. Please send some rains here also. We're dying here in the 40s. Okay, so like you said, we need to move ahead sustainably. So everybody keeps saying sustainability all the time, but what is sustainability really? I mean, it's a nice fancy word with a lot of alphabets, but what is it? What is it to you? How would you define sustainability?
Yeah. I mean, sustainability to me and to all of us here on the estate is you being able to continue to survive, continue to be able to produce, continue to be able to look after your labor, your environment, your animals, irrespective of what is happening. And that is being done right across the board uh, in small practices that we do. We have our own school to educate our labor. The children are all forced to go to school. You have absolutely no hunting allowed on the estate. You have uh, water conservation. You have soil conservation. We have planting of jungle trees as well to protect the micro environment that we are in. So one thing that we are all looking at is the planting of mixed crops. So you will have estates that will have papaya, they'll have guava, oranges, avocados, uh, besides being dependent on only coffee. So you are able to sustain irrespective of what market and environment throws at you. It is not only economical, but I think in an overall sense, you have to be sustainable in a complete circle. And yeah, that is my definition of sustainability. What are your thoughts on sustainability, Bhavi? How do you see sustainability from your point of view as a consumer and and from the general public?
I feel that the way the world progresses, no matter what we do, we are going to damage the environment to some extent. But what you can also do is things to repair it, or things you take something, you give back something. You give back more than you take. That to me is sustainability. And it's not about just So last weekend, 5th June was an environment day, and there were crazy tree plantation drives everywhere. Every year we see this. Every year we have every garden giving out free saplings. Okay, that was good CSR, good pictures for the newspaper, but what after that? Who's taking care of those plants? All those trees that were planted on the dividers in the city, who's watering them, who's taking care of them? The saplings you took home, are you taking care of them? Are they growing into something, or was it just a photo op? So that to me explains sustainability. It's not a 1 day or 1 hour thing. It's something you do every day, every time.
Yep.
If the world has to progress, what are you going to do? Are you going to go back to be a caveman and just let nature do its thing? You can't do that. So you'll damage the environment to some extent. You can't really help it, but you can do things that are friendly, that are nice, and you can give back more than you take.
Yeah, you're right.
To me, that's sustainability. Make sense?
Absolutely, and I think all of us who are here on this little chat, if we all start making a little change, it is us doing our part. So maybe ride a cycle to work, walk to the shop rather than
you do that sometimes, right?
Or a bike. It's just those little things.
Rohan cycles to work sometimes, from what I've heard.
Yes, every time I cycle to work, the next day it rains, and then I don't want to cycle.
The rain gods don't like you cycling, Rohan. As simple as that.
So I have Mother Nature. Forcing me. Yeah,
Actually,
I have Mother Nature forcing me to take the car to work.
Bangalore people, if you ever feel you need rain in the city, please tell Rohan to go to office on a cycle. Next day you get rain. See, you got your key to get rain. Okay, so I have a big $1 million question for you. What can we do now? We're here, we mess the environment, we face the possibility of no coffee.
What can we do now?
Yes. What's next? What should we do now? We're here at this crossroads.
From a farming point of view, what we can do is we start exploring newer varietals, which will be a lot more resistant to pest and drought, while also looking at the overall quality parameters of the coffee, because ultimately all of us like to drink good quality coffee. And I think from what we can do now, we've already answered that. It is us doing our little bit to protect the environment. And I think I have honestly no real answer on what we can do, because we've got all the big brains sitting at all the environmental summits, and they come back with absolutely nothing at the end of the meeting. So me giving my 2 cents and my advice on that is not going to really affect anything. But
that's okay. We still like to know your thoughts.
If 2 or 3 people here today start cycling to work, I'm happy.
Vivek, cycle to work from tomorrow. Prajwal, you can also do the same. I heard Bangalore is a very cycle-friendly city. See, we got 3 people. You're the third.
Prajwal will just walk to his cafe, so...
Okay, Prajwal, don't walk. Take a cycle. Rohan said take a cycle. Okay, Vivek is saying he also walks. People are walking, Rohan. Why do you want them to cycle?
Oh, very good. That also works.
Manish, I saw you there. Manish is a colleague and friend of mine. Manish, you can also cycle to work. Do that.
Yeah.
He lives very close to our office. Nisha, you can also cycle to work. Lovely idea for you. I don't know how you'll manage. Are estate cycle friendly? I don't know.
Oh, yes, they are. Off-roading. It's the best. Going downhill is always fun. Coming back is where you throw it at the back of the tractor trailer and then you hitch a ride.
I'm scared of going downhill on a cycle because I don't know who is going to end on the top at the bottom of the hill. Okay, so for people who do not know what we were just talking about, what Rohan said about varietals is, so generally you have a lot of coffee in the world being Arabica coffee. The other very popular variant is the Robusta variant. So what Rohan means is Robusta is more sturdy, more robust, as the name says. It is better at surviving the climate change and pests than Arabica is. So Robusta
Absolutely.
could help us survive. The flavor profiles are very different. Both coffees will taste very different. But if you're somebody who's been drinking instant coffee, chances are you've already had a lot of Robusta. Am I right, Rohan?
Absolutely. You're absolutely spot on. I have nothing to add there. You hit the nail on the head.
Good. Thank God it was not my finger that I had.
Ouch.
Oh, I've done that. It's not pretty. Okay, so that gives us some perspective. What we've understood so far from Rohan is that there could be a world where Arabica does not survive, or if it does, it could be like insanely expensive, only meant for the very elite and very rich people who can actually afford it. Though I do think that specialty coffee is also sailing in the same boat right now. People prefer buying a cheaper Nescafe or some instant coffee, and then their specialty, which a lot of people feel is something they cannot afford. But it's just going to be more of that. Okay. A possibility. We are saying a possibility. Don't worry, coffee will still be there. The world is still going to be quite
I think
bearable.
it's going to be. Yeah, and I
It's going to be.
you will find Arabica growing in non-traditional areas.
Oh, yes.
It won't be growing in the high altitude areas which we are now looking at. You will find it being grown in other locations. That's what we are noticing. And yeah, like you said, it may become more expensive, but again, it is dependent on how other origins produce, or how India produces on the same year. Again, it's all demand and supply, and that's exactly what happened this year.
You
There
have to bring
was
economics into this.
always.
Okay, Rohan loves economics for people who don't know.
Yes, I do.
Yes, he does. Okay, we have a question from Nisha that I'd like to read here before we proceed any further. How far away are we from commercially viable alternate strains of coffee versus the usual suspects of Arabica and Robusta? Stenophila, for instance. From what she's heard, the yields are really low.
Uh, I really am not too certain on that. Commercially viable alternative strains of coffee. Coffee Board is experimenting with a lot of varietals, but the focus is on more of pest and disease resistant coffees, while not looking at the quality of the coffee. So that it all has to go hand in hand. So it's tough to say, Nisha. Tough to say. We like you've also pointed out, yield is also very important. There's no point in us planting a varietal which is going to be resistant to pest and disease and then give us a very, very low yield. You still end up running in the same spot. So trials are on. I'm sure people are working together with other origins to bring in varietals which will do well, where you get larger, bolder sized beans and stuff like that. But I think the right channels have to be explored a lot more, and it is being done. It is being done, but it is moving at a very, very slow pace.
So there will be considerable genetic modification required, experiments to be done.
It is being done, but again, like agriculture takes time for you to arrive at a
Absolutely.
concrete result. It's not going to be done in 1 year. It's going to take 5 years to 10 years. Nobody wants to put their foot in their mouth by saying, hey, you plant this, you're going to get X quantity of coffee and it's going to do this, and then it doesn't do it. You've single-handedly knocked down a planter. So it is being treaded on carefully. People are trying different things out. So let's see where it goes. And I saw a question by Tyler. Do you find specialty coffee expensive? Yes.
If I told Tyler, if I
would
showed
love
you
to
my
hear
coffee
this.
stash,
I would love to
and
hear
Rohan
this.
will already know this. I do not find specialty coffee expensive. If I showed you my stash, you would see about way too many bags than I can count on my stash. There are times when I'm sleeping at the night and something falls and I realize it was a coffee bag that fell off my stash. So I have way too much coffee at home, and I do not find it expensive, but I also know people who do.
Yeah, see that has that's an easy question to answer. It depends on what type of coffee people are looking for. If
Yes.
you're looking at your daily driver, not expensive coffee, that is easy to obtain. And if you're looking at very particular flavor notes and a higher valued coffee, you have to pay a price for good quality product. Why do people
Absolutely.
pay 5,000 to 10,000 rupees for a bottle of scotch, which they won't even remember the next day they drank? So
Ouch!
I think coffee right now is at the level it should have been many years ago, because it's not fair on the grower's point for the coffee to remain stagnant because of a commodity sector.
Absolutely.
There are ups and downs on the estate. When the crop drops, you can't still stand at the price that you sold coffee at last year. So
Yeah. And
things have to
the
change.
prices of everything else change. I mean, Surf Excel changed the price and it was news. I'm sure all of us read in the newspaper that Surf Excel changed prices. That never happens. Amul keeps changing prices all the time. If it doesn't change price, it reduces the volume of the product, which we often don't realize. Because I remember when I was working, interning at Amul and I used to run the shop, 50 ml cup of ice cream was 5 rupees and 100 ml cup of ice cream, plain vanilla, is 10 rupees. You go to the market now, I'm pretty sure the volumes have come down. The cup size has gone smaller. Price point hasn't changed, but the cup size has gone smaller. And good things can be expensive. It's not a problem. Yesterday I was with Shravan and we were trying out the Koji fermented coffee. I got 3 jars. I didn't even ask how much it was. He said the price, I paid, and I just left at the end of it. Because it is really good coffee. Hi Amit, thank you for joining. Just talking about the Koji fermented coffee from yesterday. So that's good coffee. And if I like something, I'll buy it. People impulse buy books and clothes and food and stuff. I impulse buy coffees.
We need more consumers like you.
You want me to
We need
clone
more
myself,
consumers
Rohan?
like you.
I'm happy to give my blood and my genetic samples. Please clone me. I don't mind. I don't know if the world can take it though. One of me is enough. Okay, so which also reminds
Fair
me
enough.
this expensive and not expensive stuff. One thing I feel is affordability is a very relative term. What could be affordable for you may not be affordable for me. What is affordable for me may not be for you. They are relative terms. And it's not just monetary considerations that define, as you said, it's also about what you feel is valuable. This is the conversation I had with Ankit from Cafe Machines just this week. We were talking about the Comandante grinder, which comes at around what, 26,000? There could be people who find that grinder to be expensive. But for somebody who drinks espresso shots, he told me, you'll recover that cost pretty quickly and you'll get good espresso. So for somebody who drinks espressos and wants an espresso-friendly grinder, a Comandante might make a very logical expenditure. But for somebody who uses a Time C2 and feels okay, that gets the job done, a 5,000 worth of Time C2 could still be good. Relative
Absolutely right.
terms, I feel.
You're absolutely right. And I think the people who like the finer things in life wouldn't mind paying for good quality product. So, you
Absolutely.
know, the effort requires the reward.
And so far as the benefits of that higher price percolate down the entire value chain, that is also important, I feel.
I'm very happy to say that so far it seems to be happening in the specialty sector.
Okay.
Uh, there is a very good relationship that is being developed. The market seems to be improving, and the future looks very bright when you look at the specialty sector. You need a lot more responsible buyers as well as responsible sellers.
Okay. Okay. Fine. It also reminds me of a book called 1984. If anybody of you have read it, it mentions that there is this dystopian government in 1984 which supplies rations. And in that, one of the rations supplied is gin. Now, it is not the actual gin. It is a synthetic, watered down, really bad gin. And it is supposed to keep the masses in check. It keeps them, no, it, okay, let me
Got
rephrase this. It is a watered down, crappy alcoholic beverage, basically, and it is supplied by the dystopian government, but it is regarded as a reward. And it is like an anesthetic that makes the condition of the world in that book bearable. So one group particularly starts rebelling, and they find out that the elite people, the bourgeoisie, are actually drinking something else, which is actual gin, good gin, and they never got that. So that's the difference that is being there.
Yeah. It's going to be very similar in coffee. You'll have the commercial level, you'll have the specialty level, and I mean, at the end of the day, as long as the farmer is able to get sufficient monetary payback for the hard work that he does, he'll keep producing good quality coffee. So, with the buyer seller relationship that we have right now, I think we're in.
Yep, yep. And this is the moment for innovations, right? Because you have a challenge, so people who innovate can survive.
Yes, and you are seeing more and more of that happening.
Yep.
There's a lot more experimentation of coffee. There's a lot more uh, willingness to try mechanization wherever possible. And again, it's there's also the fear of missing out. So everyone is
Yes,
now jumping onto the
FOMO.
bandwagon. Yes, jumping onto the bandwagon of experimenting. But it's also a dangerous situation that you'll have because not all experiments are going to be successful.
Yes,
And
yes,
and whatever you experiment this year, you can only make it, scale it up for the next year. You can't do it the same year. So it's a
absolutely.
huge lag between every experiment that you do. Uh, but yes, you are absolutely right that experimentation, mechanization is the way forward to reduce cost and to increase the saleable value of the product.
Cool. So with that, the points that I had to cover are done, but we also floated out, what are you seeing?
Nothing.
Tell us.
Nothing. I heard a sound, so I was seeing where the sound came from. So we
Okay, we floated a question box
we
yesterday.
got word that there's an elephant close by. Mayur, I don't know if you heard it,
Uh,
but there is a single tusker that is roaming around very close to our estate.
Nisha, did you send the elephant? Come on, Nisha. The nation wants to know. Did you send an elephant to Rohan's estate? Okay, I don't see a response from Nisha yet. Maybe she's praising her response. Meanwhile, we floated out a question box yesterday where a lot of people send us questions, so we'll take that as well. The first question is, will coffee really be wiped off the earth, which we did talk about, that it will not be wiped off, but there'll be innovations. Coffee will change as you know it, but it is not going away. Your taste will have to change a little to keep up.
Absolutely.
Right? Okay, next question I have, and this is my favorite question from all the ones that I received. What to do if I overdose on coffee? Very important question.
Well, if you overdose, probably get your stomach flushed at the hospital and then repeat.
But the guy who's overdosed will be unconscious, no?
Yeah, but from a grower's point of view, drink coffee, overdose, flush your system, repeat. So
okay, I have a better answer here. Yeah, but what? Go on, say it.
No, go for it. Okay.
So, like I was telling you, I was talking to Sasa Sestik. If people have heard of it, he's the 2015 Barista champion, and he's also the guy who invented carbonic maceration. So I was talking to him, this is sometime last year, and he's the one who told me that he read somewhere that the maximum number of espressos a person can consume is 75. Any more and you will die. So whoever this person is who has said that he's overdosed on coffee, I need to know what exactly do you do that you were consuming 75 espressos and how much time did it take? I'd really like to know that. And if you're doing manual brews, did you have nothing else to do all day? Because if you don't, we have a lot of work, we'll delegate.
As long as you've quantified it, go ahead, drink 75. Don't go over that.
75 espressos, yes. I don't know if your machine can take it. So please get good machines. We are doing shameless plugins for so many people. We should have taken sponsorship for this. Whoever wants to advertise, come to us.
Next time around.
Okay, also for overdosing, I did check on this. There is a drug called naloxone. So for drug addicts, it's a blessing. You take that. It is a drug overdose reversal drug. When Demi Lovato overdosed, that is what she was given by her friend. But unfortunately, naloxone does not work on caffeine. So, sweetheart, your only option is get a banana bag. That's the best you can do. So naloxone doesn't work. Okay. I have a friend, Prakash, who said that he finds coffeeing to be like video games. You know, there's levels to explore and there's challenges. I'm really glad he finds like that. He's exploring coffee and he's learning a lot of things and he's enjoying the specialty coffee. He's a convert. Convert thanks to me.
Good job.
Thank you. So I've switched him from normal coffee to specialty coffee. I have 3-4 people have done that too. Hardcore converts. Okay, next question is, what level crema in coffee is required to create the perfect latte art?
Well, you can make latte art with a mocha pot. It all depends on how much you froth the milk and the right texturing of the milk. So if you see the way people have been practicing latte art, it's with a little bit of chocolate powder with I think soap solution, and then they just pour the milk in and they practice latte art. So it doesn't require a very thick crema. Even with a thin crema, you can do latte art. So it's all to do with the texturing of the milk.
Okay, so people trying to practice latte art, focus on the milk. See, that is why we have dairy technologists like me. Focus on the milk. Next, does sustainable coffee taste different than regular coffee? That's a very interesting question.
So sustainable coffee will not really taste very different from regular coffee. Organic coffee will taste very different. It all depends on the soil texture, the flora and fauna, and the microenvironment where the coffee is grown. We find that with our organic 795 and the Ethiopian heirloom, you end up getting a lot of berry notes and strawberries and,
Yes.
complex uh, flavor notes coming through, which you don't normally get on the regular washed coffees. So yes, to cut short the answer, 100%, an organic coffee does taste very different from regular processed coffee. Sustainable, sustainably grown coffees, that's arguable, because you are looking after the entire area, but the parameters that you follow with regards to cultural operations are not as stringent as it is for organic.
Okay. Okay. So it could or could not taste different, but at least sustainable coffee and normal coffee is not supposed to taste different.
Yeah.
Organics could.
Organic does have a big difference in the flavor notes from what we have seen.
So the same varieties grown organically and not grown organically will taste different.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, this is
So
an
we've got a
interesting
795
experiment.
organic, and we have a 795 rainforest certified coffee, and the
Okay.
organic always goes higher than the rainforest certified coffee.
Okay. Now this is a question. Is it announced as organic or is it a blind testing?
It's a blind tasting.
Okay.
It's always sent as a blind.
Okay, there's a question here on the screen. Do you blend two different coffees? For example, one with good flavors and the other with good brightness.
So yes, you can. 100% you can blend, and generally, if you're a home brewer, I would recommend you try blending your coffees that you get. You
Oh, it is
taste the
fun. It
coffee.
is fun.
Absolutely, and you will see the changes in the coffees. Absolutely, it does change the characteristics, and blending does work. So if you look at an espresso blend, it invariably is a 90-10 or an 80-20 blend of an Arabica and a Robusta. If you see the espresso, if you take a 100% Arabica, it's a lovely cup. It's got all the right notes that you want, but it's lacking the punch. It's lacking the thick crema in the body. So when you blend it with the Robusta, you get what the Arabica is lacking. So I would encourage everyone who's here, who is a home brewer, it doesn't have to be Arabica and Robusta, but you can do your blending of what you feel is lacking in one coffee with another coffee, and just see what happens. It will blow your mind.
It
It's
does.
crazy how coffee works. It's absolutely
It
insane
does.
how coffee works, because no two beans will taste the same, because it's roasted differently. The way they roast it, what I roast as a medium and what Bhavi roasts as a medium, will not match, because it's again down to perception. And then when you try both, it's so different. It's so nice, and that's the fantastic thing about coffee.
Beauty of coffee.
Yeah.
In fact, I've done this also. So normally people mix the beans before grinding. One time I just felt a little more funky. I ground two different beans separately and I did two pour overs. One with one coffee at the bottom and the other up. I didn't mix it. I just extracted it together. And the other, I reversed the coffee, and both tasted hell different. The proportions were same. It was just one at the bottom and one at the top. That's what I switched in a pour over, in a V60. And I got two different cups. Of course, because extraction changes.
Yeah. Play around is all I'm saying. Play around. Don't be scared to experiment. It's a lovely question. Go for it. Sky's the limit when it comes to coffee and blending.
Yes, sir. Next question I have is filter coffee more sustainable than instant coffee?
We had this discussion yesterday, Bhavi, so I'll let you take the lead on that.
Okay. For another shameless plug-in, people, I have a whole blog that I've written on it. Please go to my blog and read it. The link is in my bio, or you can DM me and ask me. I'll be happy to share the link. It tells you about how coffee becomes instant coffee, but I'll simplify it for you. For instant coffee, basically you'll have coffee that is processed, then it is roasted, then it is ground, then it is brewed, and then it is dried. But it has to be dried in a way that it is hygroscopic. So your normal coffee beans, if you grind and keep in the air, it's not going to soak up moisture the way instant coffee does. Come monsoon and Nescafe is something you have to hammer and get out of the bottle, or you have to store the bottle in the fridge. Or you put milk in the Nescafe bottle to get some coffee out. Either ways, but that's how it happens. Now, to do this, to dry up that brewed coffee, you either need heat or you need cold. So if you're using heat, there's two processes to make instant coffee usually. One is your hot blast, hot air spray drying, or the other process is freeze drying. Now for hot air, the spray drying, what you basically have is brewed coffee that is sprayed from a very, very tall height tower, which is sprayed into small droplets, and you have a blast of hot air coming up at about 480 degrees Fahrenheit. To give you perspective, thanks to COVID, now we all know that human body temperature is 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit and water boils at 212. Hot air in a spray dryer is 480. So 480 Fahrenheit and your coffee comes down, it instantly becomes powder. To generate that amount of heat, it's a huge carbon footprint. And for freeze drying, you have to freeze all the moisture present in that coffee so it can be separated. Again, to freeze down to that level, about 20 degrees Fahrenheit, which is way below 0 degrees Celsius, you will need a good refrigeration system. So by that logic, if you see, filter coffee is definitely more sustainable than regular coffee. And I think we've lost Rohan again. Rohan, are you there? Okay, people, please give us a minute to get Rohan back. I don't know what happened, but I think it's a network issue and we've lost Rohan. Give us a minute to bring him back, please. Okay.
Sorry about that.
No problem. So, as I was saying, filter coffee is definitely, in my opinion, more sustainable than instant coffee. At least that's what my understanding says. Please read my blog, people. Please read my blog. You also should be saying that.
Yes, you've been telling me to read your blogs. I'm guilty of not reading it. Yes, I will also get down to reading it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Now, next question. How does climate change impact the coffee crop?
Oh, God. That's a long conversation. Climate
we'll
change
do one more live on that.
Yes, I think it requires just a single 2-hour session on how it can affect the crop. Right now it's the sole reason why we are facing a very, very low crop. If you look at what happened last year we had rains right through the year. We got rains in December right through to the next December, almost to December. We had rain during harvest. So we had coffee blossom when there were fruits on the plant. We had heavy rains when there was blossom, which is not what you want. So, climate change is hitting us. You're getting rains when you don't want it. When you need the rains, you don't get it. Temperatures are going up. The difference between maximum and minimum temperatures is very, very high. Relative humidity levels keep fluctuating, having drastic impact on the coffees. If you look at when you take the coffees up for coffee curing, I'm sorry, I'm looking at Advait online. Yeah, so it becomes very, very tough to take coffees up for curing when the humidity levels are very high, because coffee can absorb moisture and that affects the quality. So climate change is affecting coffee not only from the growing point of view, but also from the processing point of view, and also for the storage of coffee. when it is sent to the end roaster. You're not going to use coffee right through. You're going to store it for a long period of time. So now they are forced to put it into temperature controlled rooms, dark rooms, cool rooms. It's becoming harder and harder to protect the beverage that we all love.
Okay.
And like Nisha has mentioned, we lost a lot of crop as well. She's hit it just right on point. Uneven ripening and splitting is a big headache for us because you're so worried about harvesting just that crimson red cherry. When you harvest the fruit, when you go to harvest the fruit, the front looks perfect. When you take it off, the back is green and yellow. And you can't delay. The coffee just starts to dry up. So it's causing havoc on farm level. But it's also causing havoc at the roastery level as well. I can keep talking on climate change, so I think we should move on.
It's good Instagram gives a live limit of 4 hours.
Yes, and I think it's 11 o'clock, and you have your next session.
We have one more question. Just one more question. What type of coffee farms are more susceptible to climate change? Full sun or shade grown?
Well, both coffee farms are susceptible to climate change. The open farms and the open cultivated farms invariably are run on drip irrigation. If you have a scenario where you don't have enough water to drip irrigate, it is absolute disaster for the plants because the plant is now used to getting water once every 2 days or once every 3 days. It's like a human. You're used to eating food, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And if I just suddenly say, hey, stop eating all your meals, the body goes into shock. Same thing for the plant. And it happened in India 4 or 5 years ago when there was a drought scenario. We were all told not to irrigate. And the estates that had shade were able to push through a little more than the estates that had drip irrigation because the plants started to show a lot more signs of stress because you were not able to give adequate water on time. So I would say open cultivated farms are more susceptible to climate change.
But that's not what we have usually in India, do we?
Yes, you're right. India is shade grown. We are a coffee jungle. So we do have a little bit of insulation from the heat.
So for people who did not get that part,
more or less we do get sufficient rainfall during the monsoons.
Okay, for people who did not get that part,
excess rains.
Excess rains at the wrong time. Okay, we are having a bad network issue here because I'm saying something and Rohan is saying something. Rohan, there's a lag. Okay, while Rohan figures out his lag, what I was trying to say is
I'm sorry,
when Rohan says what Rohan says by shade grown, what he means is in India, coffee is usually grown in the shade of other trees. It is not just open to the direct sun. That is why it's called shade grown. And when you say full sun, which often happens in other countries, it means coffee is just grown as a crop. There is no shade of the trees. That creates a lot of difference in the coffee that gets cultivated. And of course, when you have a tree cover, a canopy cover, it helps with some effects of the climate change. Can you hear us, Rohan?
I've lost you to some extent.
Okay. We can hear you.
Okay, I think it's back.
Yeah. Can you hear us?
Okay, perfect. Yes.
Okay, so what I was saying is that I was just explaining what is the difference between the shade grown and a full sun for anybody who might not know that.
Okay. No, I lost quite a bit of what you said, but all right.
Yeah, we've got that covered. Thankfully, I
Okay.
know that much. And that brings us to the end of all the questions I have. Rohan, what would you like to say to close?
Thanks everyone for joining in, and Bhavi, thanks for having me on the Instagram live. Let's all start making a change. Uh, you know, let's take that little step now rather than wait for the tomorrow.
The smallest change you can start with is when you go out, don't buy a mineral water bottle. Please carry your own bottle and refill it.
Yes, yes, yes. Decaf, decaf.
Sorry?
One of the comments. My wife
Okay.
instructed me to make decaf.
We honestly don't have any idea what you're talking about.
Okay. All right. Thanks everyone.
Don't do drugs, okay? Okay. So whoever was planning to overdose on drugs, this is for you, please. Do we have the guy who asked that question? Prajwal, are you on? I don't see a wave or a comment. I think he's dropped off.
Yeah.
And with that, we come to the end of this live. I have Sharang, who's already come up on the other window, and they've started the session there and we're talking.
Okay. Thanks everyone. Thank you again.
Thank you everybody for joining. We're sorry for the network issues. We'd like to hear what you thought of the live. Send us. I'll post this as an IGTV, so any of you who missed something or have to drop off in the between, you can revisit it. And do send us any suggestions. Would you like us to do this again, or if you have any topics, any questions, you know where to find both of us.
Absolutely. Thanks again, everyone. Thanks, Bhavi.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.